Are we live?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chris. 7 o'clock, so I will call this meeting of the Westfield, Washington Township Board of Zoning Appeals for August 2020 to order. Staff, can you note the presence of quorum, please?
Ms. Fortier.
Yes.
Mr. Kingshill. Mr. Schmitz.
Here.
Mr. McCarty.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Dane. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the last two meetings, the June meeting and the July 14th, 2020 meeting. Members of the commission with having had the opportunity to review those minutes, are there any questions or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval of those minutes. And I presume we can approve those together.
I have no question, and I move
Yes.
that we approve those minutes.
And I'll second.
Been motion by Ms. Fortier, second by Mr. McCarty to approve the BZA minutes for June 9th, 2020 and July 14th, 2020. Mr. Crabtree, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Fortier.
Yes.
Mr. Schmitz.
Yes.
Mr. McCarty.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the pro tempore replacement for Martin Raines, who resigned from this board. Would either of you two, Ms. Fortier or Mr. McCarty, be interested in serving as the pro tem for the Board of Zoning Appeals? Well, actually, hold on a second. Brian Zager, I know at a prior meeting we mentioned perhaps waiting until there was a fifth member of the commission, and we've also got one absent today. Would it be appropriate to just defer that to a later meeting?
It might be. You could do it either way, but right now, the only thing you're avoiding is a quick motion and a nomination should that not happen and nobody's there. So I'd say wait.
Okay. If there's no objections to that from either one of you two, Janine or Victor, let's just defer that. It probably ends up, Kings Hill is already has an office, so presumably it's one of you two anyway. So think about that, and we'll address it again in a future meeting.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, fine with me.
Next item on the agenda is reviewing the rules and procedures. Mr. Crabtree.
Due to the COVID-19 emergency as declared by the Governor of Indiana, the format and conduct of the meeting has been modified to comply with executive orders regarding the conduct of public meetings, public hearings, and public gatherings. Relevant portion of the Indiana Open Door Law have been amended or suspended during the pendency of the emergency. For all petitions, tonight's meeting has the following structure. The department will summarize the petition and describe what action, if any, is necessary to be taken. Then the petitioner will be given up to 15 minutes to present to the board. The president of the board will call on each member to provide comments, questions, or concerns regarding the petition. The petitioner will then have a chance to respond to comments. If a member of the public has any comments regarding a petition, they should be emailed to planners@westfield.in.gov with the petition name or number included in the subject line. Those comments will then be forwarded to the board members and the petitioner. A few comments for BZA members and petitioners this evening. Please have your email accessible during the meeting so you can read new comments when they are available. And please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. Thank you.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is 2007 VS 15 17827 Commerce Drive, seeking an amendment of a condition in a prior variance to permit a 14th lot within Alpha Tau Business Park and a variance of development standards to reduce frontage for 2 lots. And that is Mr. Crabtree.
Yes, and this does have a bit of history, so bear with me. It's a longer intro than normal here, but good evening, members of the board. For the record, Dane Crabtree with the Community Development Department. The item before you this evening is a request to amend a condition of docket 97V7 in order to permit a 14th lot within Alpha Tau Business Park and for variances of development standard to reduce the minimum lot frontage for 2 lots at 17872 Commerce Drive, or excuse me, 17827 Commerce Drive. At the March 17th, 1997 BZA meeting, the entirety of the real estate that comprises the Alpha Tau Business Park, which is located at approximately the northeast corner of State Road 32 and Dartown Road, received variances of development standards so that lots could be 1.2 acres minimum in size instead of the required 3 acres. Included with this approval was a condition that the number of lots within the business park not exceed 11. This condition was amended twice on May 15th and August 21st, 2000 to create a 12th and 13th lot. The petitioner is requesting to amend this commitment so that a 14th lot may be created, splitting the existing 3-acre parcel at 17827 Commerce Drive into 2 properties approximately 1.2 acres in size, the leftover real estate being a common area accessed by an egress easement. The existing 3-acre parcel does not contain enough road frontage to split the property and maintain EI road frontage standards, so requests to modify said road frontage standards for both lots have also been made. The reason for this request stems from the fact that a development plan for a second 11,700 square foot building was approved at the January 20th, 2009 Plan Commission meeting to be located on the east side of the existing 3-acre parcel. The petitioner would rather these 2 buildings be located on 2 separate parcels. This item is scheduled for a public hearing this evening. The department has received no comments and the petition has been properly noticed and advertised. The petitioner, J.R. Freiberger, is present this evening if there are questions, and Adam Dehart of Keeler Webb is present as well, and I am available if there are questions of staff. Thank you.
Thank you. So am I to understand, Dane, that we don't have an initial presentation by the petitioner and go straight to public hearing?
That's accurate, unless Adam or JR, who are both on, would like to add anything to that.
This is JR. I think Dane's covered it well. This project has had a bit of history in the building being approved. I would like to note, I guess, the goal here is the current building on lot 1 is rented to a tenant that would like to own their own building, but they need a little bit smaller of a building. So the goal here is to be able to create this lot, be able to sell that to them. A good Westfield tenant in business stays here and we create a parcel for them, and then we can hopefully bring somebody new to backfill the existing building. So I think not only for the flexibility of that industrial park, but hopefully for a little bit of growth to the town of Westfield as well. So building's been approved, the overall site plan's been approved. We're just simply trying to get the ability to break it into 2 parcels to be able to convey title to that new building cleaner. Thank you.
So JR, just for clarification, the tenant you're referring to would be building the new building on lot 2?
We will build that for them. I own a construction company as well here in town, JRF Construction. We've got quite a bit going on. My family owns this property, so we'll have a purchase agreement to him. We'll build the building and convey the whole thing when it's complete to him as a finished product. And then we will try and back lease the building 1, or on lot 1, that building once we can have this timeline put in place.
Great, thank you. With no other comments from the petitioner, I will go ahead and open the public hearing at 7:09. And Dane, do we have any, well, you have mentioned already that we didn't have anything prior to the meeting. Have we received anything since the start of the hearing?
We have not.
Okay, I'll give it a minute or so to close the public hearing. Nothing additional has come in?
That's correct. No additional comments.
Okay, thank you. I'll close the public hearing on this matter at 7:10. And any comments or discussions from the board? Victor, I'll start with you.
Nothing in particular stands out to me. I'll just make a side comment that to put a number on my age, I was 3 when this was first come about. But again, nothing in particular sticks out. Thank you.
Thank you. Janine?
No, I don't have any questions. Thanks.
To me, it appears that the end result here is pretty similar to what's in the park to begin with, or presently. So, at least in terms of lot sizes and configurations. So the frontage issue isn't in that kind of a low traffic setting. I don't think is certainly not a concern of mine. So in the absence of any public comment, I think the proposed findings from the staff report can be supported. So I would entertain a motion to approve this matter from either of you.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion. Moved by Mr. McCarty, seconded by Schmitz to approve docket number 2007 BS 15. Jane, can you call the roll?
Mr. Schmitz,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Ms. Fortier,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. And I will make a motion to adopt staff findings of fact in staff report for the approval of this petition. We have a second.
I will second that motion.
Moved by myself, seconded by Ms. Fortier to approve the staff findings for this matter. Mr. Crabtree?
Mr. Schmitz,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Ms. Fortier,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. This matter is approved. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, JR.
Thank you all for your time. Thank you very much.
This is Adam. Thank you for your time also.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 2008 VS 17 20451 Chatham Hills Boulevard, requesting a variance of development standard to encroach 4 feet into the 25-foot minimum rear setback in Chatham Hills Planned Unit Development. And that is Mr. Harris.
Good evening, members of the board. For the record, I am Corey Harris with the Community Development Department. The item before you is a variance of development standard that requests to allow a rear yard encroachment of a swimming pool by 4 feet. The landscape plan does show encroachment of the landscape into the 10-foot easement in the rear. The Public Works Department has received and reviewed this encroachment and has approved it. This item is scheduled for its public hearing this evening. The petition has been properly noticed and advertised, and the department has received no comments. If the board is inclined to approve the variance of development standard, then the department report includes recommended findings of fact and conditions. The petitioner, Chris Bartlow, and the representative, Tyler Herman of Pools of Fun, are present this evening, and I am available for questions for staff.
Thank you. And again, with respect to the petitioner, do they wish to make a presentation or just have us move right into public hearing?
This is Chris Barlow. The only thing I'll add is we have reviewed this with Kent, the Director of Architectural Standards of Chatham Hills, and he has reviewed and supports the project and actually has notified Corey of that support.
Chris, anything further? Should we just proceed to public hearing?
Unless there are questions, we can proceed to public hearing.
Great, thank you. I'll open the public hearing on this matter at 7:14. And do we have anything, Corey, ahead of time on this matter?
No, we do not.
Okay, I'll give it a minute and then I'll close the public hearing. Anything come in, Corey?
No, sir.
Great, I will close the public hearing at 7:16. I'll start as far as comments go. This one seems pretty non-objectionable. You've got, behind it, you've got a pond and a hole of the golf course, so you've got quite a bit of setback to any owner opposite the pool, and it's a very nominal, very minimal encroachment, so I certainly have no objections to it. Janine?
I have no objections, and it looks beautiful from the plan.
Thank you, Victor.
My thoughts as well. Looks like a beautiful backyard.
Okay, I will entertain a motion for the consideration of this matter.
I make a motion to approve variance request 2008 VS 17 for 20451 Chatham Hills Boulevard.
And I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Fortier, seconded by Mr. McCarty to approve 2008 VS 17. Mr. Crabtree, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Schmitz,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Ms. Fortier.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And I will make a motion to adopt staff's findings of fact for the approval of this matter. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Schmidt, seconded by Fortier to approve staff's, or to adopt staff findings of fact for the approval of this petition. Mr. Crabtree, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Schmitz,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Ms. Fortier.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. This matter is approved, so thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you guys very much for your time. Have a great night.
Too. Next matter on the agenda is 2008
Findings.
VS. We did it.
Okay.
Next matter on the agenda is 2008 VS 18, 3511 West 166th Street, Citizens Energy Group. Petitioner seeks to reduce the lot frontage from 250 feet to 50 feet in the AGSF1 district. And this is Mr. Ernest.
Thank you, President, members of the board. For the record, Caleb Ernest with the Community Development Department. This property, as mentioned, is zoned AGSF1, the Agriculture and Single Family Rural District, and is located at 3511 West 166th Street. The surrounding properties are also zoned the AGSF1 district. The petitioner is requesting a variance of the development standard, reducing the minimum lot frontage from 250 feet to 50 feet. A little background on this property. This is the Citizens of Westfield property, and earlier when it was under city ownership, there were not plats of record to validate that it was an actual recorded lot, so it created a legal non-conforming use. Because of that, the road frontage with the flag lot parcel is seeking to remedy the road frontage requirement by submitting this variance. This item does not require, this item does require a public hearing tonight, has been properly noticed and advertised, and staff has received no public comments. Tyler Comstock of American Structure Point is here tonight. I'll defer to him if you'd like to make a presentation. Otherwise, both he and I are available for questions. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Caleb. As Caleb mentioned, this is the existing lot. It's, I believe it's been in this same condition for about 20 some years. As Caleb mentioned, we're bringing everything up to speed, up to code. The actual project that we're doing is a small garage building on the lot, and that's kind of what triggered all of this. So we're just trying to get everything up to code, and so that we can proceed with our storage building. I'd be happy to provide any answers to any questions or anything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Unless any board members have initial questions, I'd like to open the public hearing first, and then we'll deal with any further questions. So in fact, I'll just do that at 7:20, open the public hearing on 2008 VS 18 Citizens Westfield, Citizens Energy Group, rather. And Caleb, I assume we didn't have any comments on this ahead of time?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. I'll give it a minute or so. Caleb, anything come in the last minute?
I have not received anything, no.
Okay, thank you. I'll close the public hearing at 7:21. And one question for staff, I guess. It sounds like from the presentation, from Tyler's comments, that this has been brought about by proposed improvements on the site, not as a result of any kind of compliance action or any kind of non-compliance investigation or anything, correct?
It's basically one and the same. When they applied for an improvement on the property, it voids its legal non-conforming use, which means they have to bring the site into full compliance.
Okay. But not brought about by complaints by neighbors or something, non-compliance with the prior approvals, right?
Correct. It was not triggered by any complaints or enforcement cases.
Enforcement action, that's the word I was trying to think of. Okay, thank you. Comments from board members. Victor?
Again, nothing pops out right now, so thank you.
Janine?
Dave, thank you for that question. I was kind of thinking the same thing. So that was answered, so I have no other questions.
Thank you. And yeah, obviously it's existed on this present site, doing the exact same, working the exact same way it has for years. So I don't see much reason to make a big issue of this. So I will entertain a motion for the consideration or disposition of this matter.
I will second.
No, you want to make the motion, please?
Oh, sorry, I thought you made the motion. My fault. Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve.
And I'll second for the request of 2008 VS 18 at 3511 West 166th Street.
Thank you. My
Thank you.
screen froze, so I wasn't able to pull it up.
Motion by Mr. McCarty, seconded by Ms. Fortier to approve 2008 VS 18. Mr. Crabtree, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Schmitz,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Ms. Fortier,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. And I will make
Thanks, everybody.
I'll make a motion to adopt staff's findings of fact for the approval of this petition. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion by Schmidt, second by Fortier to adopt staff's findings of fact for the approval of this petition. Mr. Crabtree, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Schmitz,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Ms. Fortier,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. This matter is approved, so thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is 2008 VU 04, 18326 and 18342 Spring Mill Road, Noah Heron, seeking a variance of use to permit wine processing on 35 acres in the AJSF 1 district. And that is Mr. Dorsey.
Good evening, board. This is Jonathan Dorsey with the Community Development Department. Before you tonight is a variance of use request for 18326 and 18342 Spring Mill Road. The site is currently zoned and used for agricultural use and is approximately a total of 35 acres. Petitioner is requesting a variance of use to allow for wine processing on the continued general agricultural use of this property. Aspects of the wine process, such as growing and harvesting, are permitted by right within the current AGSF 1 agricultural single-family rural zoning district, but others, such as the fermentation and bottling, fall within agricultural processing, which is a special exception use in the current zoning. Petitioner is not asking for the full agricultural processing special exception use, only the uses specifically tied to the wine processing for this site. This item is before you for a public hearing tonight and has been properly noticed and advertised. Staff has received a public comment prior to tonight's meeting, and those have been supplied to you through your email. The petitioner, Noah Herron, his representative, Matt Pleasant, are both present this evening and would like to make a presentation prior to the public hearing. Staff will remain available to address any questions after. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Pleasant or Mr. Herron.
Thank you, Jonathan, Chairman Schmitz, and members of the Zoning Appeals. For the record, Matt Pleasant of Pleasant Cities LLC, located at 5821 Julian Avenue in Indianapolis, Indiana, representing Noah Herron of Herron Holdings LLC, the owner and operator of Urban Vines and Urban Farmer in Westfield. I actually had a small presentation today, but it doesn't look like it was posted. So I will kind of guide you around what is already on there. That's completely fine. Pam, if you can move to the location map real quick, just to be, it's okay, because I generally use the same things. This site is located at 18326 Spring Mill Road, south of 186th Street, just south of Sundown Gardens, and the Westfield Grants Park Sports Campus. It's located, currently it's operating as a horse farm. As Jonathan indicated, it is about 35 acres, surrounded by agricultural uses, and then Sundown Gardens to the north. The site is zoned AGSF 1. Oh, okay. If you go to the, I'm on the third slide. Sorry, buddy. The site is zoned AGSF 1. The properties surrounding the proposed site to the east, south, and west are AGSF 1, and then Garden Market. Go to the next slide, please, Pam. Again, I just wanted to show contextually about where this is located and what future development is going to bring. You got a multitude of houses on the west, south, and further up to the north, all the way up through Osborne Trails and Chatham. And to the south, you will end up meeting 32, which is commercially experiencing. Next slide, please. So back to the original site. Noah's requesting today, as staff is indicating the staff for the active processing wine is a use within the agricultural processing definition of the Westfield UDO. It is listed as a special exception in the AGSF 1 zoning district. However, we are requesting only to use the agricultural processing capabilities of wine processing. As you're aware, the special exception uses contemplated within the zoning district, a special use is something that could be contemplated within the zoning district, but it is up to you to decide if that makes sense in the area. For our purpose, we are only wanting to select one of those small uses out of that whole slew of uses. For reasons for that, we didn't want to get into it. It does allow for agricultural processing, does allow for things like timber harvesting, not that we could do that here, but like a slaughterhouse could be used as a within agricultural processing. And we didn't feel like it was necessary to ask for everything. We wanted to make sure that we were clear and succinct on exactly what we're requesting. I do want to bring up that I know Mr. Schmitz and Ms. McCarty were part of the Plan Commission in hearing Hoosier Hills PUD that has since been withdrawn. The Hoosier Hills PUD included not only this aspect of just the wine processing. It also originally included agritourism, and then originally we had a couple other uses that were contemplated for that PUD. We are not requesting agritourism for this site. The only thing that we're requesting for is the wine processing. So today, Mr. Heron is allowed to and permitted to farm the vineyard and the orchards that he would like to make for wines. Everything to make the wine agricultural wise is permitted by right today. And the only thing we would like to request is to have that wine processing, the bottling, the fermenting, all within the existing structures that are there today. There will be some minor improvements to the sites, such as a small expansion of a building, interior remodeling to make sure that it is up to code, and which will be reviewed by building department if it showed as necessary. And there's a contemplated for small greenhouse. Pam, if you go down one more slide, we can show the concept plan. And this shows exactly what we're talking about. There'll be a multitude of vineyards and orchards available for processing. Inside of those buildings, again, like I said before, would be the areas where the actual winemaking would happen itself. In summary, the request to allow processing would not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, or general welfare. The use would not affect the value of neighboring properties, being that they are agriculture in nature itself already. And the proposed use does not challenge the comprehensive plan, and it actually upholds the farm that's in existence today. With that, we would like to thank you for your time, and both Noah and I are available for any questions that you should have. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. I will open the public hearing on this matter at 7:33. And I see that we did receive an email forwarded to us, so I'll give the board a minute or so to review that, and same amount of time, same time to see if anything further comes in on this petition.
Ms. Fortier, I received an error message through my email. I just wanted to make sure that you received the public comment that was received prior to the meeting.
I have not received it yet.
Okay, we will try again.
Thank you. I just received it, so give me a second here to look it through.
That's fine. Mr. Dorsey, have we received anything besides that single email?
We have not received anything additionally.
Okay, thank you. I'll close the public hearing at 7:36. Janine, did you have an opportunity to read the email?
Yes, I did.
Victor as
Thank
well?
you.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, this is Noah. I'm kind of new to this kind of hearing. Are we able to hear the comments and respond to them?
Well, I could read it, I guess, but did it get forwarded? John, did it get forwarded to the petitioner and counsel? And Matt?
In case there's been another error, I've just forwarded it again to both the petitioner and the representative.
Okay, let's give them a second to at least confirm receipt of it. Matt or Noah, have you received that email?
I just got in my inbox.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, go ahead and read through that, and then the floor is yours to, as a single item is the only item in the public hearing. So if you can review that and then respond to it briefly, well, then we'll give you that opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just read some of it. I have no idea what she's talking about as far as bait and switch. I don't think we can possibly do a bait and switch on this. This is, what we're asking for is what the property would be. So I don't think we could do agritourism without coming back and doing a PUD. So I don't think that's relevant to what we're trying to do and just getting a special exception on wine processing. And then I believe I saw something about urban vines being an eyesore. I don't know how to respond to that.
I don't think you need to. It's not within the scope of this petition, so that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
This is Matt. I just want to add, Mr. Herron's correct that if right now we're not asking for the agritourism or the campground that is being referenced, and I think just from conversations between Noah and I, that's just not even in the scope of work at the moment or at all. If, again, like he indicated, if there was ever a point in time that he decided that that might be something he'd wish to pursue, he would again have to come in front of either the city council and the plan commission through a PUD, or he would have to come back through the Board of Zoning Appeals to ask for those uses specifically. And again, for today, for this purposes, those are not what is being requested.
Okay, thank you. I guess I'd ask a follow-up question with that. A lot of times facilities like these are very attractive for touring, to bring a group or a family through to see the production facility. It doesn't appear to me that is contemplated here based on the lack of parking and based on your representation. So is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Yeah, that's correct. We're just gonna be open for our employees. We're not doing any type of tours or anything like that. If we did decide down the road to do that, we would come back and request either through BZA or City Council.
Okay, thank you. Comments from the board. Janine, I'll start with you.
Thank you. I do have a couple questions. How many employees will you have? And I see there is some parking there with that white. Will there be enough parking for them? And also, if you're doing bottling, then that means you're going to be distributing them out of that facility, I'm assuming, over to your wine store. Just will those be going out on a semi truck or just a small box truck? I was just concerned about that traffic, not that the traffic is that bad out there, but just, concerned for the area that goes through there.
Yeah, I can answer that. Yeah, currently right now we have about 5 employees that would be there. The parking there can hold 15 or so cars on the gravel parking lot that's there. And yes, we will have occasionally a semi truck or two that will come in delivering bottles, and small trailer trucks that we would go back and forth to deliver the wine to Urban Vines and back. But yeah, with the type of traffic on Spring Mill and what's going to be happening down the road, and with the traffic down south, the horse farm that's there, they have 50 horses with 50 different owners and cars going in and out all the time. So right now, I believe it will be a reduction in traffic overall to the site.
If this is Matt, I just want to also point out that Spring Mill Road is contemplated as through the thoroughfare plan in Westfield. It is a primary arterial, so a widening of, I mean, not right now, but potentially it is expected in the future that Spring Mill Road will be widened, or at least be able to sustain heavy amounts of traffic in the future. That's what I think I want to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you. Janine, did you have anything further?
No, thank you very much.
Victor?
So I don't know how much I'm allowed to comment on past, but all I'll just say is I'm happy to see what's before us now as opposed to past experience, as you alluded to. I agree with you that the remarks made in the submitted comment aren't really germane to what's happening here, considering all your, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but just asking for approval for a bottling service and for distribution and such. Like Janine, I do see, just because, again, I grew up going up and down Spring Mill Road, and throughout my lifetime it's been the same size, and I remember one time it's taken me 30 minutes before to go from the roundabout to the stoplight, just due to the sheer amount of Grand Park traffic. So that would be my main concern, is just, I know you mentioned a reduction in traffic, and that is true. I would just be concerned when there is a semi or any other large vehicle in that vicinity to backing up traffic, or given that driveway is narrow currently with the in and out, I would just maybe suggest widening it a little bit with gravel, so that way it gives a semi or another driver some more room to get in and out, because it will be difficult to get that large of a vehicle in and out, specifically if there is a large amount of Grand Park traffic. But otherwise, besides that one concern, I'm okay with it. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, as far as my comments go, I think the public comment was the aspects of that relate to the other Urban Vines facility wasn't germane to our discussion tonight, wasn't necessary. But I think they're focusing on the expansion of the use within this project is a concern. It was of this writer, and it is of myself, and I think Victor, and those of us who saw the other plan. While there was a lot of hope that we could find something that was going to be agreeable, we didn't get to that point. So at this point, I'm comfortable with the representations made by the petitioner and Matt, that their intention is to use this for agriculture and for wine production, just as the petition seeks, and anything beyond that is anything beyond the scope of that is not approved, and something they'd have to address in future hearings. So I'm comfortable with it as is. I don't believe anybody expressed any real concerns about the production element of the prior plan anyway, so I'm fine with this. So I'd invite either of you two to make a motion for the disposition of this matter.
I move to approve variance 2008 VU 04 at 18326 and 18342 Spring Mill Road.
And I agree with your comments, Mitch, and I will also second that.
Thank you. Motion by Fortier, seconded by Mr. McCarty to approve 2008 VU 04. Mr. Crabtree, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. McCarty?
Yes.
Ms. Fortier?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we'll make a motion to adopt staff findings of fact for the approval of this petition. There was one issue with that. John, did those corrections get made on the proposed
I believe the staff report should reflect appropriately now. Seeing that the presentation material was not online, I'm not sure if what is online, it currently reflects that.
Okay. There was a reference. Yeah, it's corrected now. So I would make a motion to adopt staff findings of fact for the approval of this petition. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Moved by Schmidt, seconded by Fortier to approve staff's findings of fact for the approval of this petition. Mr. Crabtree, can you call the roll?
Mr. McCarty?
Yes.
Ms. Fortier?
Yes.
Mr. Schmitz?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And this
Thank you.
matter is approved. So thank you, Matt. Thank you, Noah.
Thank you, board. I appreciate it.
And let's see, the final matter on our petition is 2008 VU05 and 2008 VS19, 518 East Main Street, Westfield Imports LLC, seeking a variance of use to permit automobile sales and a variance of development standards to remove the masonry requirement from an existing monument sign in the SF3 district. And that is Ms. Howard.
Yes, thank you, Board. This is Pam Howard with the Community Development Department. Before you this evening, we have an extension to a previously approved variance of use to permit a pre-owned automobile facility at 518 East Main Street, along with a variance of development standard to remove the masonry requirement from an existing monument sign. The subject property is approximately a half acre in size and is zoned SF3, single family medium density district. The original variance of use was approved in March of 2016 and then was extended in February of 2019 with an expiration date of March 1st, 2022. The petitioner is now making some changes to the business model, including changing the name of the business, and is therefore requesting to renew the 3-year variance at this time. The petitioners are also requesting to utilize the existing monument sign, just updating the sign copy with a new business name. This sign does predate our masonry base requirements for monument signs, making it a legal non-conforming sign. Changing the sign copy would require the existing sign to be brought into conformity without a variance of use. The petitioner has been in contact with the Grand Junction Task Group, and a letter of support has been provided to you this evening. It was emailed to you at the start of the meeting. The department would support an extension of the variance of use for no more than 3 years. This item was properly noticed and advertised for a public hearing this evening, and no comments outside of those submitted by the Grand Junction Task Group had been received as of the start of this meeting. If the board is inclined to approve the variances, we do have recommended conditions of approval for both the use variance and the standards variance listed in the staff report. The petitioner's representative, Doug Goins, is here to make a brief presentation, after which both he and I will be available for questions. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I think this is my 3rd time in front of the BZA and the first time I've ever done something remote like this. So long-time listener, first-time caller. But hey, I want to do a quick introduction. I'm a long-time Westfield resident. In fact, 4th generation to graduate from Westfield way back in the 80s. Still live in the downtown area. Love what you guys are doing in front of the Grand Junction area. I'm sure it's going to be a terrific addition to the downtown area. So thank you for that. I'm also the joint owner of 518 East Main, along with some good friends of mine, lifelong friends, Dave and Shelley Turner. We purchased the property in 1997. We operated as a hair salon, owner-operated, for about 17 years. As we got older, the business model changed. We moved on to its current use, which Pam mentioned in 2016. We've always done our best to demonstrate, pride of ownership and landscape and keeping up with the building and the property, to being mindful of, the thousands of cars that drive in and out of Westfield every day. So it's important to us. We're going to continue that. For the past 4 years, Rock's Auto Exchange has been operating out of the location. They've demonstrated the same pride of ownership, I feel, have an excellent customer service, 4.5 to 5-star customer ratings. So that's important for us as well. With the new partners, there's new money to invest. They're upgrading into inventory. The property's going to even look better than it ever has before. Zach Yale, one of the partners or petitioners and current owner of Noblesville Imports, is with us tonight for questions if necessary. The new business will be supporting higher-end autos such as BMWs, Mercedes-Benz, Land Rover, it's tough to say, Maseratis, Porsche, that sort of thing, as well as some domestic, but mainly an import, thus the name Westfield Imports. Important to note that everyone understands the existing guidelines with the variance, and we're going to be adhering to those 100% of the time. And with the new venture, like Pam mentioned, we're just looking for a fresh 3 years to extend to the new partners to, have them coincide with the lease that we have with them. And we're also seeking to keep the existing sign that's been there for about 20 years. There shouldn't be anything different with it. No structural change, only the name, logo, and phone number is going to be the only difference between us, so no one should notice anything abruptly different. So that's all I have, really. I appreciate your support for us tonight, and here for any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will defer questions till after we have a public hearing on this matter, and I'll open the public hearing at 7:53. I note that we do have as I think was referred to in the staff report, we have a Grand Junction Task Group email as part of the public hearing. Have we received anything else, Pam, on this matter?
We have not.
Okay, I'll give it a minute or so, and then we'll get into discussion. Pam, I presume nothing further came in?
Correct. I have seen nothing.
Okay, I will close the public hearing at 7:55. And I don't know if there's really anything for the petitioner to comment to. Obviously the statement speaks for itself and is favorable as to the petition. Let's go with comments. I can start. And I guess initially I wanted to ask Pam, with this variance having existed for some time, and I know that it originally had some limitations as far as the number of cars that could be present on the lot. Has there ever been any, or let me put it differently, any issues recently with respect to to compliance with the previous variance?
No, there have not. I actually checked our code enforcement file to be sure on that, because I know that was a question when this came up last year. We have not received any complaints related to this property.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think we've got two matters to consider on this, and one being the relief as to the masonry requirement on the sign. I think that's justified based on the temporary nature of the business's approval over the 3-year period. And we're really only giving them an extra year and a half of what they already had. And sounds like a pretty favorable change. So I think I'm comfortable with what's being sought by the petitioner. So I will ask Victor for any comments.
I would just agree with your comments. Definitely understandable to grandfather in the sign given circumstances. And I personally have appreciated driving by and seeing the nice collection of cars. So I don't think there's any obstruction or negative aspect about this. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Janine?
I have no additional questions. Well, yes, I do. I have one about what would be the date of the extension then? Is it March 1st, 2022?
I think it's September of 2023, correct, Pam?
Okay.
Correct. We are recommending September 1st, 2023.
Great. That's what I was thinking too. Thank you.
Essentially 3 years from now. Okay, on this one, we have to treat these, I'm assuming we need to treat these separately. So I will entertain a motion as to the use variance first, 2008 VU 05, which is basically extending the previous variance. In fact, for simplicity, I'm just going to make a motion to approve 2008 VU 05.
I'll second.
To,
Oh, sorry.
hold on 1 second, because I think we have some conditions. Subject to we do have 2 recommended conditions for the variance of use. The approval of variance will expire on September 1, 2023. Any request to extend the time limit of the variance shall be reviewed and approved by Board of Zoning Appeals prior to September 1, 2023. The second condition being that conditions 2 through 11 of the original variance as outlined in Exhibit 5 shall still apply. Ms. McCarty, will you second that motion?
I will indeed, sir.
Thank you. Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. McCarty as stated. And Mr. Crabtree, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Fortier,
Yes.
Mr. Schmitz,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And I will make a motion to adopt staff finding of fact for the approval of this variance of use. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Schmidt, second by Fortier to approve staff or to adopt staff finding of fact for the approval of the variance of use. Mr. Crabtree, please call the roll.
Ms. Fortier,
Yes.
Mr. Schmitz,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And now we'll turn our consideration to the variance of development standard, which is the sign issue. So I will entertain a motion as to that item.
Is there any conditions for this one?
Yes, there are.
Yes, there is one proposed condition on the screen. The condition is that the variance applies only to the existing sign structure shown in the current site conditions exhibit. And if the sign is removed for more than 30 days, then it shall be replaced with a sign that meets the UDO requirements at the time it's replaced. And that simply matches our standards for legal non-conforming signs for maintenance.
Gotcha. Thank you for pointing that out, Pam. So I will make a motion for approval of 2008 VS 19. Should I reread the whole condition?
No.
Okay. With the condition.
And I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. McCarty, seconded by Ms. Fortier to adopt, or to approve rather, 2008 VS 19, subject to the one staff condition. Mr. Crabtree, please call the roll.
Ms. Fortier,
Yes.
Mr. Schmitz,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And I will make a motion to adopt staff's findings of fact for the approval of the variance of development standards. Do we have a second?
Second that.
Motion by Schmidt, second by Fortier to adopt staff findings fact for the approval of the variance of developmental standards. And Mr. Crabtree, please call the roll.
Mr. Fortier,
Yes.
Mr. Schmitz,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
motion carries.
Great. Those
Thank you,
matters
guys.
are approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
That concludes our agenda for tonight. Anything else from staff?
I don't believe so. I think we're good.
Hearing none, I will make a motion to adjourn. Second?
I will second that.
Moved by Schmidt, second by Fortier to adjourn tonight's meeting. Mr. Crabtree?
Be safe, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you need to call the roll, Dane?